Before we get started tonight here, ladies and gentlemen, episode here on Fast Break, I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years of our network. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building television shows dedicated to all major sports series around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to build by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one at just starting $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, even a chance to be featured on our semi flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all the sports. I do want to shout out to our 4 Patreon members: Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for everyone for making 8 years special for IE Sports Radio, and here's for many more years to come. Now on to the show. Well, with upsets galore in the first weekend of the NCAA Tournament, men's side, we got a lot to discuss and break down over the weekend. Can Princeton and FDU make a run, or things come to a halt after tonight's action? Plus, with number 1 seeds Purdue, Kansas going down, who's going to take up the plate in that bracket and make it to the Final Four? Plus, who is the favorite to win since a lot of things happened over the weekend? We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break Live on IE Sports Radio. You're the direct feed for all the sports, and you're welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight. Lots to talk about, lots to get into tonight. We got basketball. I got basketball in the background as we speak. UConn, the 4 seed, has kind of really pulled away from St. Mary's, the 5th seed, out in Albany. So UConn will go on to face Arkansas here next week. That should be a good game right there. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm actually watching this St. Mary's and UConn game now, which is about over. We've seen a lot of shocking results these past couple of days. So this tournament is going all over the place. So I'm pretty sure nobody's bracket is going in the right direction anymore.
No. Everybody's bracket, I think, is kind of done for the most part. I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. Shout out to Adam Karnick. Yeah, I think, what the chat's saying, D-Log, brackets, they kind of, washed. Now, I think everybody can just sit back and watch basketball and see how the games go. But, look, give me your thoughts. I know games are still going on. FDU and FAU are getting rolling right now. Creighton and Baylor at halftime. We're Creighton up by 10 over Baylor. Kentucky lost. What are your first initial thoughts over the weekend from Thursday up to now? What are your thoughts so far, how everything went?
Well, for me, we had a lot of upsets funny that it was a couple things that stuck out to me. We talked about going by each bracket. I believe I had said that Memphis would get past FAU. And you kind of like, hey, don't sleep on them. Well, I definitely did, and I think Memphis did. FAU goes and pulls out that victory, which is a big shocker. Purdue, losing to FDU Dickinson was one of the biggest things that was a shocker as well. It seemed like they were just hanging around the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what usually what happens is we see number one teams. We see a lot of them will blow out a team or take a big lead, kind of coast or try to get to the next round. That did not happen with Purdue and FDU. They're around the damn the whole game. And with any team, if you let a team stick around, anything can happen. Because all it takes is one bad possession, and now the game is a 4-point swing, a 2-point swing, or a 6-point swing. Therefore, this game, Fair Dixon won by 5. So that was one of the biggest shockers, clearly, from everybody. I think that alone probably screwed up everybody's bracket. Another one that we talked about was Michigan State and Marquette. Michigan State. We talked about Michigan State because we were saying, hey, you know what? They had a rough season. We didn't know what too much to expect. Go beat USC, which is kind of what I expected. Then they go and stun Marquette. I think that was one of the things that stuck out to me because I've always seen Michigan State, play pretty decent when the time comes around.
Yeah.
I just thought that, this was just one of those times where they just were not going to, kind of be able to get past a Marquette. I thought they were going to make an early exit, and I was wrong. So they definitely stepped up and got a hell of a matchup going against Kansas State, who just got past Kentucky. So this, that East bracket is just one of the most exciting brackets that I've seen in a long time. An exciting side of the bracket, the East side bracket. Then you got Duke and Tennessee was a hell of a matchup. I expected, and Tennessee just looked like they wanted it more.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing that I noticed. And maybe they got a wake-up call playing against Louisiana, the round before that. Very tight game, and they came to play against Duke. So, for me, like I said, that East bracket the East part of this bracket is one of the most shocking and surprising and exciting brackets I've seen in a long time. Another one that was big to me, Arkansas over Kansas. We had talked about, I said it last show, I said, hey, you know what? A lot of these SEC teams, this conference is a hell of a lot better now. So, they went through that gauntlet of playing a Bama, a A&M, a Tennessee, a Kentucky. You're seeing these teams, Auburn. Now, when you get to the bracket, the tournament, you're gonna face some teams, but hey, you've seen some probably better teams in your own conference. They go play Kansas tough the whole game. So for me, had a tough game against Illinois, come back after Kansas blows out Howard, and still a win. We talked about it with Coach Self, saying if he was going to be able to coach, he didn't coach this game either.
Yeah.
So now the biggest question is how big of a deal did that play? I mean, I'm learning now on the coaching side how big coaching is. So again, I think Arkansas getting that win, going to be playing against UConn. That matchup is going to be one to watch for. So again, I think that for me, it's going to be a hell of a matchup between them, and then clearly whatever happens between Gonzaga and TCU to play UCLA, who I had pretty much going pretty far as well. But like I said, the biggest thing for me was, hell, Marquette getting put out. I told you right before air, I had them going pretty far.
I did too.
So, and they out. So that was one of the biggest ones. And then, of course, I could not forget Princeton beating Arizona, which that is another way to screw my bracket. And then what happens is they go get a win against Arizona. So now they play a Missouri team. And now, you play a number 2 team in Arizona. Hell, at this point, your confidence is to the roof.
Uh-huh.
So now they look like a totally different team in the next round and show up. Now, we still trying to figure out what the hell was going on with Missouri that game. But all in all, Princeton came to play. Right now, Creighton and Baylor, who we'll figure out the end of that game. Whoever wins that game is going to have to play Princeton. And at this point, Princeton is also a team that is rolling. They are starting to click at the right time as well. So, man, these games are all over the damn place right now. But that's why we watch. I said before, like, you can look at these games, you can pick and have these expectations. And now, this is what you see as a result. So, for me, I love it, man, because now it makes it very interesting to watch and not just a straight, oh, hey, we're going to have all number 1s against number 1s in the Final Four. Right now, we have some teams that could, make a few pushes. Number 3 teams, number 2 teams, hell, or 15 teams. That would be one of the soccer things. Hell, like number 16 team. Like, you never know what's going to happen, especially when you only have one game. So, again, this is what makes March Madness, the NCAA Tournament, so great. And I think this is also one of the reasons why college football is moving to this very similar thought process, adding more teams to their college football playoffs. So, yeah, man, this is interesting to watch. The only thing is, they do take a couple of days off, so you only get the weekends to watch these games, and then boom, it's over. So, I'm loving every bit of it, man.
Right now, I'm watching FDU, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic just made a layup to cut it to 4. They're down by 4 points, 11-7. So this game seems like it might be a track meet in a sense. So we'll keep an eye on this game. Big man for FAU just made a nice shot in the lane. But shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. He's saying, and I had Marquette winning it all in a couple of my brackets. I didn't have them winning, but I had them going deep to at least the Elite 8 or going to the Final Four. So my thought process was this about Marquette. I think they could give Purdue a hell of a run. Tennessee, I was so about, and especially the way they play at the end of the year. And I thought, with Duke kind of got like a little quiet roll at the end and win the ACC tournament, all that stuff. I thought they'd be in line for a run, but then they got messed up with Tennessee, like you alluded to about Louisiana. They had like a wake-up call. And, they straight up out-physical Duke, played them and stuff like that. And they won by double digits. Now Tennessee is like a prime chance, depending on who comes out of the FDU game. They prime chance to make it to the Elite 8, possibly Final Four. In a sense, depending if they, get a favorable matchup in their favor. But my initial thoughts of the weekend so far is that no team is safe.
Nope.
No team is safe. I thought Iowa State would make a good run because they got some. Look in that side of the bracket, they got some favorable matchups. But then, Pitt came out, played some tough defense, hit some shots. Iowa State couldn't do nothing, and they got bounced in the first round. And then Xavier, if Kennesaw State, made some stops, made some stops, hit some shots against Xavier that first game, they could have beat them. They had them down double digits. So it's just I'm going through the Midwest bracket. Houston, North Kentucky. I know North Kentucky kind of like died by the three and stuff like that. And they shot 5 for 33 in that game. But sometimes, I know that's your style, but sometimes you kind of got to mix it up. If the shot ain't falling, you got to do other things. And I felt like if they did other things, they could have beat Houston. And I felt like, Sasser getting hurt again in that game. You gotta take advantage of your stuff, and y'all still, they ran out of gas, but still, you still trying to jack up your shots and stuff like that. If it ain't working, drive it in. Do something. The pressure's on Houston to beat y'all. Not the other way around. They got to beat y'all. And I think Northern Kentucky didn't take advantage of that. And as you watch that game, it's like, damn, y'all could have had that game. If we're being honest. And UCLA, the game against Northwestern, I said it on Twitter. When they played Northwestern, those two teams play the same style in a sense. It's just going to have to come down, who's going to make enough good offensive plays down the stretch to kind of win. And free throws. And UCLA just did enough at that point to kind of pull away. So, UCLA with the Kansas going out early like they did. And, Arkansas winning D-Lock. It shouldn't be a surprise because now they kind of got everybody healthy and stuff like that. And we're talking about an Arkansas team that if they're healthy and stuff like that, we're talking about one of the top teams in the nation. If we're being honest. So, them beating Kansas is not too much of a surprise. Them and UConn is going to be a very, very good game come next week. But it won't surprise me if Arkansas make a good run here. They got the horses to do it. In preseason, they were ranked top 10 in the preseason poll for a reason. And then, it sucks for Kansas that Coach Self had the health issues and stuff like that. And like, we talked about before the show, coaching matters. And I think in that second half, way some things went, I think if Bill Self was there, things maybe turn out differently. So, what else I'm looking at around this bracket? Just looking around real quick. I had Missouri going deep to at least the Elite Eight. Because Baylor didn't really impress me. Granted, they won by double digits against UC Santa Barbara. But, it's like, it is with that one. Creighton right now is beating them by 10 points still, 50-40, with 15:50 left in the second. Princeton beating Arizona. I don't know what to say. I mean, if the U was a bigger upset, the bigger storyline, but this one damn near right close to it. And it's just amazing that, you know, you let these teams hang around as we've seen over the past few years in the tournament. And one thing we kind of, people should be noticing more and shouldn't be more shocked about this, D-Lock. A lot of these schools, smaller schools and whatnot, these guys hang around for 3 or 4 years. And I think, you know, also plus, I think the talent level has been better brought up over the past few years through the high school AAU ranks and all that stuff as well. I think that plays a factor in it as well. That, you know, okay, story here. Like, kid around here was like a 3 or 4 star prospect like a few years ago. You know, he had D1 offers. He had an offer for Alabama, but when Nate Oates got there, kind of pulled it. Then he settles to go to Tennessee Tech. Okay, was there for a year or so. Decides to come to A&M, Alabama A&M. You know, granted, you know, they didn't get far as the tournament, but my point is, you got these kids talented like that go down to these lower levels, and you get something built and going, and make it to the tournament, you can do some things. That's what we're seeing at these schools now. FAU, you know, we'll see about FDU down the line. Princeton, you know, we shouldn't be shocked that these upsets come about. Now, granted, those 2 wins, D-Lock, Princeton, FDU, upsets. But I think, you know, down the line here in the future, we kind of got to get out this, you know, Cinderella story and stuff like that. That a lot of these schools, if they beat these bigger schools, it's not really upset. And we shouldn't be shocked by it because the transfer portal, the depth and talent, you know, that these kids are being brought up in, like the training and stuff like that, we shouldn't be shocked by that. Like, I saw a graphic before we got on the air, like a couple hours before we got on the air, like star ratings between Purdue and FDU. You know, FDU had no players ranked, and then Purdue, I mean, they had guys ranked, but it ain't like 5 stars down the board. You had 3, 4 stars altogether, you know, guys for Purdue. So what's the talent level between that? If we're being honest, 3-star guys and guys unranked. What's the discrepancy in that? So, you know, them being FDU being Purdue was a big surprise. If I Purdue, Matt Painter, you gotta get some whoever comes in the portal and stuff like that, who is a go getter and stuff like that. He gotta get one of those. If Zach Edey's gonna be around next year.
Yeah.
Because late in that game, I know Eddie's your best player, but if he can triple team when someone drives the paint and those dudes are 6'7", and you can't throw him the ball, and those guys and your players outside on the 3-point line can't make shots, then you gotta get some new personnel in there. Because there ain't no way in hell, if you triple team a big man like that my shooter shouldn't be punishing your defense on that. Okay, you want triple team him? Fine. My guys want there make you pay. And so much so that you got to have one-on-one matchup with Edey down low. Then you can do your damage down there. Get the fouls. Get all that stuff. And then you be fine. But that didn't happen. So, you know, like you said, coaching, heart. You know, the coach at FDU saying, hey, I think we got a chance against Purdue. Now, he could be just, saying things to kind of get things going, or he really got that confidence in him. And it showed.
Big time. And it just felt as if once you get them confident. They, like I said, you sticking around. That's all it takes. Now that number 1 versus number 16, or them rankings go out the window.
Oh, yes.
At that point, the rankings go out the window, so you have to show up. So, I definitely agree with you there, because, like I said, that coaching and them not putting them away early, you let them stick around, and then boom.
This is like everybody's shocked and upset like that, and then even watching the pregame and stuff like that with Charles, Kenny, Clark, and Greg. And by the way, I wish they get somebody else besides. I know Charles worked for Turner and stuff like that, but Charles just rambles when he talks about these schools and stuff. Like all the people Turner employs, they can get somebody else in that seat. I just don't understand that at all. He just rambles when he talks about these schools. Anyways, that's besides the point. I get that out there. But, you look at Princeton, okay? They win by 4 against Arizona. Arizona, kind of like a real finesse team, real soft. And they can stick around like that. Then you get against Mizzou. And they got out big against Mizzou, and Mizzou didn't have an answer for it. I was like stunned and damn Hobby Lobby seeing that score. I was like, what is happening here? What's going on, Dennis Gates? They're 12 for 33 for 3-point land. What's going on? They out rebound y'all. By 14 points. 14. They rebounded y'all 44 to 30. Offensively, 16 to 8. And the Princeton has been playing the same style for years. Slow, back cuts, trying to get the best shot possible. That's always been their MO. Don't matter who the coach is, personnel is, they're going to play that Princeton offense. And Mizzou couldn't get done. They couldn't get it done. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, damn, dog. And I said this on Twitter. Dennis Gates going out sad like Conzo. That's because I feel like at times at Conzo, Missouri, he had like strong squads and then just really didn't never take advantage of it. Well, Mizzou, Dennis Gates gets in. He takes the same players that Conzo had from last year and turned them around this year. And I thought, when Arizona going out, that'd be easy path. Creighton's up big. Creighton's up right now on Baylor still. Damn, I thought that was like a nice walk to the park to Louisville in the Elite 8 at least.
My thing is, even with Missouri, like, hell, it ain't like Princeton just went out there and just everybody was shooting great.
Nah.
You had probably maybe one person seems like that. Lane Borge, he was the only one that really had, probably one of the best games for himself. So that tells me, this more so falls on, Missouri. That's a like you said, that I'm pretty sure they're looking at oh, we got Princeton, oh, we're gonna be fine. We finna make this easy push through
Yup.
to the next round, and that doesn't happen. So I mean, you had a decent game against Utah State. Clearly, you see Arizona let Princeton stick around. As confident as Princeton were, Missouri still should have got that win. They should have figured out a way to get it. So, me, that I can't say that's all on Princeton. That definitely plays a big part on Missouri. And like you said, it's clear, how they're playing. It's not any different than what they've had, regardless of who the coach is there. And it just you score 76 points against Utah. You come back and score 63. So, that is a sad way to go out big time.
Going to the chat real quick. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Shout out to Marcus Los. Great. I'm going to go down and read the comments real quick. Yeah, Taryn. I had Marquette going deep. I didn't have them winning, though. I didn't have them winning. Marcus saying, Marquette killed me. My Michigan State hate did me in. About Michigan State. It's always funny with Michigan State. Like, at years, when they're heavily favored, they kind of kill you like that in the bracket. And then years like this, we maybe expect them to go out in the first round. They win a couple games, and then they there at the Elite Eight or something like that. And it's kind of like one of those years that, they may be there at the Elite Eight. So, Michigan State proving me wrong, like Michigan last year, getting to the Sweet 16. Terrence saying Kansas wouldn't have beat UCLA even Coach Self had come back in time. I don't know. That's tough to say. I don't know. That's a hard thing to say, to be honest, about that one. And me personally, I thought Bill Self maybe should have just not coached his tournament and come back stronger for next year. Just focus on his health. And not trying to rush back and get the pressure, trying to come back and, win. The pressure to kind of repeat. Tanner also said, San Diego State wants Bama. Bring on Bama. I'll say this. It's going to be a real interesting matchup. Maryland, I would say Maryland played the same type of style, but San Diego State have more dogs on defense. So it'll be interesting to see that style of defense going against the Alabama team that's like, I know they lean on their defense, take pride in the defense, but being honest, they're more offensive centric. So it'll be a real interesting clash of styles come next week or this upcoming week. How they're gonna play it? How they gonna take out Brandon Miller out the game? Can they take him out? What about Javon Crinley? Can San Diego kind of slow him down? Because he's been playing very well these past couple games. How you contain somebody like Noah Clowney who can hurt you from the outside to inside? Sometimes players like that kind of beat you at games. And then how you take out Charles Bediako defensively? You get your points inside. How you going to take him out? Get him out the paint defensively. He's still real motivated. So that's like what San Diego State got to really, focus on. Like, okay, if we take out somebody there, can we not let the other guys get hot? But
Yeah. And quick thing on that is, the thing about my first actual full good chance of watching the full Alabama game was that Maryland game, and I can definitely see that Alabama is clearly, I'd say, the best team in the nation right now. They didn't even shoot that well, and still somewhat dominated this game in the fashion that they wanted. Maryland didn't even get to put up over 30 each half. It tells you a lot. So, for me, I told you off air, I said, well, hell, Brandon Miller kind of lets the game come to him. And that's what it kind of seems like. He didn't really, some players usually want to start out hot, stay hot. He kind of played it to where the game slowly came to him. And he made the impact that he needed to. So for me, Quantity played outstanding. Could have shot a little bit better, but this team just seems as if they are the best team in the nation right now. Everything is clicking. So I think it's going to be hard for anybody, not just San Diego State, but for anybody to play against Bama. And for me, that first half, I think they kind of struggled just a little bit. Then they started getting cooking really that second half. And even with that, Maryland was behind the 8 ball for the most part. So again, San Diego State is gonna, bring something. Being that they're number 5, they kind of had a breeze through these first couple games. To be honest with you, with the rankings playing Charleston was pretty tough, but then having Furman, because that's another upset that comes through over Furman beating Virginia. But at the end of the day, I honestly think that Bama is going to finish this tournament with a victory. They look that good. Now, granted, the reason why we continue watching is because we never know what happened. Never know what happens for sure. Obviously, seeing Purdue get put out the first round. But, yeah, this is going to be a very good team to watch. And being able to watch Brandon Miller each round is going to be exciting as well.
Yeah, he didn't play great that first game. I don't know what's going on with him. They say it was a growing issue, but they say he was fine. So I think, but he came out this second game way better. And you didn't mention about the shooting by Alabama. If they hit some of their shots and stuff like that, that score could have been a lot worse than it did. So for them to only win by 20, it's just like, okay, it could have been a lot worse. But you see, with Maryland, it's just like, if you can tell in certain teams, if they get things clicking, they are right, but if some things don't go their way or get into foul trouble and stuff like that, then you see things discombobulate, all that stuff in an instant. And Maryland's one of those schools. So that's how it seems to me, or how I look at Maryland. And, I thought Maryland would be more motivated because they played Alabama a couple years ago. I think in the second round like this in the NCAA Tournament. And I thought maybe they'd come out more for revenge. Now, that's like a different coaching staff and stuff like that years ago. But still, I mean, hey, we can get revenge on these guys and all that stuff. But it didn't happen. Maryland's one of those bubble teams that got in. And, they didn't. The second half is just like, ugh. And you saw the energy from Alabama. Now, granted, they're playing in Birmingham. 45 minutes away from Tuscaloosa, but still, even you take out Tuscaloosa, D-Lock, this being around Birmingham, going to Birmingham a couple times. Birmingham, I mean, it's still a strong base for a lot of Bama alumni, fans, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, of course.
So you got that advantage there. regardless. But you take on the campus, 45 minutes away, just down the highway. It's like easy support. And then you get out the bus, you see all this crimson around you, around the hotel. It kind of make you think, it's like, damn, do we really have a chance? And that's kind of like another thing we don't talk about, the mental aspect of things. You seen all that stuff. If you're Maryland, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, you see all this crimson around town and stuff like that. Alabama gear, support. Like, damn. Do we have a chance? We're going right to the Lions then. Same thing for like Houston, Illinois, playing Auburn. Now, I know Auburn won't beat no Houston, but the same thing. Auburn's about a little bit further out, but still, same rules kind of apply. So, credit to Houston, they came in the second half and beat down Auburn, but same thing, Calvin Sampson was crowing about, like, we need y'all Bama fans to stay, because I know y'all hate Auburn. Can y'all keep yours on? So I was like, that's another thing Maryland had to factor in. And now you go to Louisville, which is about, from where I live at, like 5 hours, about 7 hours away. Somewhat home court advantage in a sense. Not home court, but 7 hours ain't a bad drive. So you still get your support, you still get your fans, and we'll see how Alabama, pushes through. But let me ask you this: looking at how the tournament is now, how things are set, how the games went, who is your favorite? Who are your favorites to get to the Final Four?
I would lead with the big dog in Alabama right now. I just feel like they are just head and shoulders above a lot of teams. I think I really like how they, have put away the teams that they need to. I mean, we talk about the number one seeds that, got their wins. They beat Texas A&M CC by 21, got that done early. Had a decent matchup against Maryland, put that away, even with bad shots, bad percentage in shooting anyway. I think that, San Diego State will bring something early, but I think they'll take care of them. Don't really see Princeton or Creighton or Baylor giving them that push, even though it looks like right now, Creighton is definitely going to win that. And I think Creighton is probably out of Princeton and Creighton. I think Creighton has a better chance to play with Bama, but I just don't see it at all. So I think Bama is definitely for sure in for me. I actually like Tennessee on the Z side. I've already had that thought process of having them go pretty far already. And the reason why is because I just thought that for one, going in that conference, knowing that they were going to have to face a Duke and or Purdue prior to Purdue with the upset, I thought that they were going to have their toughest competition in their bracket to be Purdue. Having Purdue being put out just basically, I think, makes it a little bit clear path for Tennessee for me. And also it made it even obvious for me, they beat Duke,
Yeah.
And like pretty decent too. So for me, I think that made it easy for me to have them definitely go. I think that also with Marquette being put out, who I had being their toughest competition, Michigan State or Kansas will put up a decent fight. I just don't see either of them taking out a Tennessee. On the other side, with Kansas being put out, my favorite outside of them has been UCLA. They are one of those teams like in Michigan State that gets the ball rolling during the tournament, so which I expect them to be ready, and I expect for them to have a good. I think they win this bracket fairly easy. Like I said, with these upsets, I think they'll be tough. Gonzaga or TCU will be pretty tough, but our Arkansas taking out that number 1 seed in Kansas. I think now UCLA is theirs to lose. I don't think that anybody really touched them. This is the toughest bracket here. Is the Midwest. One reason why is because you still have Xavier, Texas, and Houston. For me, Houston has been looking pretty decent. Auburn actually stuck with them for a while, but I'm going to take Houston in this one. I don't think that there's no team that can run with them. Now, there's one team that I think that has a possible chance if they can pull off the upset, and that is Xavier. I think that if Xavier can get things rolling, I think they can barely match up pretty well against Houston, and I think that they can, cause a few things for Houston. We definitely seen a little bit of something if you watch the Houston North and Kentucky game that make you think that Houston is beatable. They're not very much compared to what I've seen in Alabama, to where I'm looking at Alabama, I'm like, okay, nobody can beat them. To where Houston, I'm like, okay, I can see somebody causing them some problems. I can see a team hanging around, and that's what I see in Houston. So I think Xavier could do that, but they got to get past Texas first. So right now, I definitely would have to say Houston. But hell, it does feel more interesting the fact that 2 number 1 seeds are not going to be in the Final Four. I'm definitely appreciating that.
For me, looking at the brackets and stuff like that, look at the South real quick. Alabama should make it out. Like I said, San Diego State will be like their toughest test in my eyes. So it'd be really interesting to see, how that matchup proceeds and goes about. But I think if they get past San Diego State, I think I don't say they would be a breeze to the Final Four, but Creighton, as I speak right now, is up by 14 points on Baylor with 7 minutes left to go. So got that looking good for them, for the Blue Jays so far. So they could possibly see Creighton or Princeton at the Elite Eight. I think they should get by them. Creighton kind of get back to that level where they're playing that very good at the beginning of the year, because they kind of tailor off in the middle of the year. They kind of just like, I don't say playing bad ball, but they were just real rocky at that middle part. And then they kind of really found themselves towards the end of the year. So you got that. But I got Alabama coming out of that bracket. The East, real tough. I thought maybe Kentucky had a chance, but as it's like Marcus alluded to in the chat, Noel is a bucket, and his 27 points helped carry Kansas State in today's matchup against Kentucky. Oscar Sheepway, he had himself a game, 25-18. But if your other guys like Topton and Reeves can't shoot the ball and go 2 for 22, and you're shooting 5 for 21 for 3-point land, talking about 4 for 20 for 3-point land, then Kentucky's not winning jack shit. And on top of that, Kentucky out-rebounded Kansas State 44-25 in today's matchup. So I thought, maybe Kentucky had a chance. They beat Kansas State. They play against Michigan, so okay, they make a good little run. But nope, they go out. So looking at Kansas State, Tennessee, and a winner at FDU, FEU. I'm looking at Lane's D-Lock. I'm going to be bold in this one. I'm going to roll with Michigan State into the Final Four.
That is a big change in 7 days. They're rolling.
Only reason I'm going with this is because, Tennessee should get. Well, they should get to the Elite Eight. They should get to the Elite Eight, but it's just like, the way the tournament been going, who knows? But they should get to the Elite Eight. Whoever comes out the FAU game, which I think Michigan State, they should. I mean, I'm not saying they should beat Kansas State, but they have a good chance. It won't surprise me if Kansas State won either, D-Log, but let me be bold and go Michigan State to get to the Final Four. Let's go to the Midwest. Miami, Indiana, they're rolling right now. Miami's up right now. Miami's a team I had deep. You know, I did a couple brackets. I had at least one bracket that Miami beat Houston. I looked down the other side of the bracket. It got Xavier in Texas. I'm looking at this bracket. It's like, if Houston's fully healthy, they should go all the way. If you're Houston, you better hope Indiana wins that matchup against Miami, because they both play the same style, Indiana and Houston. They both come from that tough, Bob Knight type of style, toughness, grinding out type of victories, and stuff like that. You know, we're going to beat you up and play tough defense, all that stuff. Trying to think. I'm going to stick with Houston. But if they get matched up with Miami, Florida, I don't know. I could be singing different too. If Miami, Florida gets matched up with Houston, Miami might pull out that one and they may make it to the Final Four. But I'm going to stick with Houston coming out the Midwest. And then we'll go to West. Terry Rodriguez made a good point last week, D-Log, when we talked about the brackets and stuff like this. This UCLA, when we talk about teams being together and all this stuff for many years, you know, especially the small school level. Well, UCLA is one of these teams in the bigger level of things, blue blood and all that stuff, these group of guys been around for the past 3 years. And with Kansas going out, I think this got to be the year you at least got to get to the Final Four and to the championship game with these group of guys that you have for the past 3 years. Now, we'll see how TCU and Gonzaga goes. I think the better matchup for UCLA, you better hope TCU makes it, because Gonzaga has given you fits over the years. But I think UCLA will come out and just make it to the Final Four. My only hiccup, Arkansas up and rolling. Eric Muslim, shirt off, flexing. His confidence right now is through the roof. Now, granted, they play a very, very good UConn team. Next week, when this upcoming week. Could they win that game? Sure. Can they lose that game? Sure. But I still gonna say this. I think UCLA comes out this bracket. You know. So, Alabama, Michigan State, Houston, and UCLA for me be in the Final Four. Now, if y'all listen to this right now, the only other team I can see a switch in is Miami and Florida or Arkansas.
is going to be tough. I think, like I said, I think that Arkansas is gonna pose a big problem. But I think that now, like I said, with some of these teams that we had these high expectations of doing a lot, this bracket is all over the damn place now. Now you got some of the, like I said, you got the teams that are doing what they're supposed to. That's what make it seem as if there's no way Alabama just doesn't make it because they're, hey, boom, we got this team, all right, next, type stuff. So I think I'm with you, for most part. But that Michigan State, that's one of those shockers. They definitely got rolling when they needed to.
Yeah, I think, it's been pretty fun watching these games. It's very exciting to kind of catch things live in the moment. In this tournament and stuff like that. It's fun catching the moment of FDU beating Purdue. It's fun watching, FAU, who, like a lot of these national pundits and stuff kind of written off, saying, talking about if they lose their conference tournament, they shouldn't be allowed in. Granted, they had like a 30-3 record and stuff like that. Now, they went in and beat Memphis and Penny Hardaway. So much so that Penny got so mad he threw his water bottle out in the crowd, and I hope he didn't hit nobody. But now, look at FAU now. Up double digits in the second round, possibly going to the Sweet 16. They hope if things hold the form. So, it's been real fun to watch this tournament. Real interesting matchups. I'll say this for the the smaller schools. If I was some of y'all, like Grand Canyon, Iona, Rick Pitino, we'll see if he still stayed here, but UNC Asheville, Drake, Kent State, so forth. If I was some of y'all schools, I could pitch to a guy that's a mid-level recruit, good mid-level recruit. I could pitch to him and say, hey, look what we've done in the past few years. Look where we gone. Look where we at. Come play for us for a good couple years or so. Don't worry about the NBA. It's always going to be there. Even the NBA or G League. It's going to be there. But come in, get your name out here, make tournament runs, and then if you get in the tournament, like you alluded to last week, you get into the tournament, anything can happen. And we've seen that the past couple years. St. Peter's from last year, make it to the Elite Eight. Or Roberts. So I'm just saying that, if I'm some of these smaller schools, I'm recruiting. I'm not recruiting guys just to stay 4 years and develop. I'm saying if I can get like a dude that's I can develop to something and maybe carry my team. And the way some of these other schools have been going, I can do something here. So that's how I'm seeing this tournament for the past few years. Like, if I can get somewhere like a Kent State, for example, or hell, not even that, like, Kennesaw State, and that's in Georgia. If I get some good couple guys from Atlanta, say, hey, we got a good foundation here. Y'all can come in, be top dogs and stuff like that for a good couple of years and get things rolling. We almost, we should be Xavier, but, we had on the ropes. But, come in and develop with us, win our conference tournament and stuff like that, we can get things rolling and cracking. So, I think a lot of these schools got to take this, and schools that didn't make the tournament G-Lock, they got to take this like, damn, if we can just get some dogs, get a good scheme, get a good coaching and stuff like that, I think we can do some things. And that's how.
All it takes is one. It just takes one player to tank all of that.
And not even one player, just a couple players. And if you can get that going, get a good solid couple players, I think you get things rolling. Because, I'll use Alabama as an example. When they remade a roster from last year's squad, they got Don Welch from, what's that school? St. Bonaventure. To help with the three-point shooting. Brought in Mark Sears from Ohio. Granted, Mark Sears is like from most shows, not too far. Like an hour or so from Tuscaloosa. 2 hours, excuse me, from Tuscaloosa. Brought him back to his home state. Alabama came in and identified, okay, we need some shooters. Let's grab those two guys in. And it helped, especially for Sears' side of things. He greatly helped his team. So, like I said, some of these summer schools, you gotta look and identify and stuff like that. Look at your home state. See who's scoring a lot of points, who's averaging a lot of points. See that can translate well into that level of basketball. All that stuff. So we'll see, man. I'll let you have the last word on the men's tournament side of things.
Like I said, I think that it's going to be one of those exciting endings. But it's going to take, you see a team like Alabama who's blowing out everybody early. They can continue to do that. It might be just a shoe in for them. I think one of the biggest teams that could pull up the upset is UCLA. I like, the fact that they get rolling. And now we can see that Michigan State is one of those teams that's putting everything together as well. So it's getting interesting, man. Each round, a team has to exit. And each round gets even more hectic and harder for both matchups.
Let's real quick go to the women's side of things. I know the men's side of things took a lot because all the upsets and stuff like that. Look at the women's side of things real quick. Right now, as it stands right now, scores right now, Princeton women, who are the 10th seed, are losing this 55-61 to Utah. So Princeton women are looking like they might not advance past for Utah. LSU, a team I had going to the Final Four when I did my women's bracket, they up 47-31 to Michigan. South Carolina beat down South Florida today, 76-45, much expected. Iowa winning by 9 against Georgia, 74-66. I thought Mississippi State may make a run here, D-Lock, but they lose to Notre Dame, 53-48. Virginia Tech, 72-60 over South Dakota State. Maryland, 77-64 over Arizona. Then you got Ole Miss and Stanford tonight, which Ole Miss may give Stanford a good game. Then go back to Saturday's action. Indiana beat Tennessee Tech 77-47. Tennessee beat St. Louis 95-50. Ohio State beat James Madison 80-66. And a good one yesterday, Miami beat Oklahoma State 62-61. Florida Gulf Coast with the upset. And when we talk about upsets in the women's bracket, this is an upset. Florida Gulf Coast 74-63 over Washington State. Congrats to them to going to the second round. UConn beat down Vermont 95-52. Another upset. Toledo over Iowa State 80-73. North Carolina 2 points over St. John's 61-59. Villanova 76-59 over Cleveland State. Bama losing to Baylor 78-74. And then Colorado beat Middle Tennessee 82-60. Louisville barely surviving Drake 83-81. Oklahoma beating Portland 85-63. Iona losing by 40 points to Duke 89-49. Texas beating East Carolina 79-40. And then finally UCLA beating Sacramento State 67-45. And then Monday's matchups real quick. You got Ohio State over versus North Carolina. Toledo versus Tennessee. If Florida Gulf Coast versus Villanova. Texas, Louisville should be a good one. Indiana, Miami should be a good one as well. UConn, Baylor. And then you got Duke, Colorado. And good one, UCLA and Oklahoma. As I reading up those scores, D-Lock, on the women's side of things, are we still standing firm that this is South Carolina's to lose, or you see anybody else kind of creeping up on them?
For me, South Carolina, I'll say this. They beat Norfolk State 72-40. They come back and beat South Florida 76-45. They lose this tournament. This is the most upsetting. This would be the most historic upset in all of sports at this point. You undefeated. There's nobody here really. Only team I probably could see maybe making a push to them is Stanford. But outside of that, this team is just, again, hell, they're worse than Alabama. They're a hell of a lot better than any team in this bracket. So I don't see them taking it to anybody. They're gonna have a matchup with Oklahoma and UCLA, but I see them probably beating teams by 15-20 for the national championship game. And it just depends who they meet there, but whether it be 10 or 20-point victory in the championship game. So right now, I definitely still stick to South Carolina, but stay tuned because you never know what can happen. We definitely think that we see an easy victory, and then you miss a game, and on ESPN we're seeing breaking news. So stay tuned in on these games because anything can happen. But I definitely think South Carolina is going to take this.
I think it's there to lose, and then kind of like with some of these lower seeds beating these higher seeds, over the weekend, like, okay, they got more of an easier path to kind of, make it to the tournament. Now, there's a potential for them playing UCLA again in a rematch from earlier this season, in which they kind of handily beat them, especially pulling away in the second half while watching that game. But then you got Notre Dame, Maryland, that matchup, and that whoever comes out could give them a game. Now Notre Dame is out one of their star players, I believe, due to injury, so that really don't work in their favor. Then looking down in this bracket, especially in the Seattle side of things, you know, Tennessee wins against Toledo. They play a very good Virginia Tech team, and they could beat Virginia Tech. You know, UConn not one of their more stronger years, but they played Baylor. But, you know, they could pull out against Baylor and win. Then you got Ohio State as well. But then, like I said, I go back to where they at? You know, LSU. They up by 49-33 right now against Michigan. They play a Utah team that kind of struggled with Princeton today, so I can still see LSU getting past there. So, like I said, but I still in the ball camp that this is South Carolina's to lose. You know, coming Elite Eight, they could get a challenge from Maryland. I don't think Notre Dame's gonna beat Maryland, but like I said, I think it's just there to lose, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, the way they playing, you already know they just, and we usually see it on the women's side a lot. A team that usually dominates. We've seen UConn go through their run, Tennessee go through their run. This could possibly be South Carolina going through their run now.
Even at that, with UConn going to run, they have hiccups from Mississippi State from their time or two as well. So I thought, maybe Mississippi State would be on that run as well, but then things kind of slowed down for them. But before we get out of here, D-Lock, we go to the NBA side of things. Just go through today's scores real quick. Nuggets beating the Nets 108-102. I still don't understand why Jacques Vaughn don't play Cam Thomas more, but he got 22 minutes tonight. Don't understand why he don't play more. And Spencer Dinwiddie, his scoring's kind of tailed off since he got to Brooklyn. So if they're gonna make the playoffs, that's got to be better for the Nets. The Suns, they lose to the Thunder 124-120. I don't know if you saw this or not. I mean, granted, he had 46 points. But one Devin Booker is beefing with one Bad Bunny. Do you know who Bad Bunny is?
Isn't he dating? I just looked it up. Or I seen it. I think, the tweet or something like that. He's dating Kendall Jenner, I think.
Yeah. For those that don't know about Bad Bunny's a international recording artist. Very popular Latin artist. I didn't know who he was until like a couple years ago, D-Lock, when he just popped up at the WWE's Royal Rumble, and he was doing a song named Booker T, and he had Booker T just stand out on the stage, just bopping his hands. I was like, who the hell is this? Because sometimes WWE just find these people and just put them out there, Now I have to look him up, and then like, damn, he sells out concerts all the time, all this stuff. And I was like, shit. And he be making bank. I was like, oh, okay, never mind then. I'll shut the fuck up. But yeah, so Devin Booker's beefing with him over his old girlfriend. So I hope Devin Booker can keep focused and all that stuff for the rest of the year. But we shall see.
It's not that big of a deal. I don't know why I guess that's what he want to put his attention on too.
I know, but they got a chance with Kevin Durant in fold to kind of, you got a short window to kind of make a championship run, and you got to keep your focus. But shout out to Shai Alexander, 40 points for him. So great job for the Thunder, kind of staying in that playoff contention. Spurs beat the Hawks 126-118. DeJounte Murray, 22 points for the Hawks. Trae Young, bad shooting night, 9 points for him. This is bad overall for him. Oh, and you want to talk about this real quick? And the Atlanta Hawks, very smart to sneak this in during the NCAA tournament. But you said this to me. Bogdanovic got a contract extension, ladies and gentlemen, with the Hawks. 4 years, $65 million. D-Lock, what are your thoughts on Boban getting a contract extension with the Hawks?
I'm trying to figure out what the hell they got going on at this point. Remember, I believe he was supposed to go to Milwaukee. I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I think it was Milwaukee. Ends up going to the Hawks. And it's just like, they're extending this guy like he's just like doing everything for them. So this also lets me think that they're definitely gonna trade somebody or release somebody soon. Clint Capella plays a lot, but Onyeka is definitely getting a hell of a lot of minutes. He's definitely playing a huge part for them. So this just leaves me, wondering, because now, they gave this man 4 years, $68 million. They ain't won no damn title.
Nope.
I don't think he averaging over 15 or 15 points a game. So I'm trying to figure out what is the, purpose of doing that. But this is one of those we shall see moments and see what they're doing. And then I think AJ Griffin played out of his mind today for them. And they were actually leading the Spurs today. So I think by 20 or 30 or something like that, going into the third quarter, and they still lost. So this team, man, they do things that just make you wonder. And signing him at first was already a wonder. So it for me, we definitely gonna see more of him now, but because he hasn't even been consistently healthy.
Yeah, that's my thing with this sign. It's like he's never been consistently healthy for the squad. And I thought maybe, okay, we bring him in, we sign him, okay. Like you alluded to, really didn't do nothing. He didn't really add nothing. Okay, it didn't work, so we just let him walk and push that money to something else. But God, this is why some teams say stuck in purgatory, and then come next collective bargaining agreement, these owners or GMs and stuff are gonna be asking like, well, we need an amnesty clause to get out of these bad contracts because we're stupid idiots, and this is like one of those stupid contracts. Like, since he's been with the Hawks, D-Lock, the first year, 2020-2021, games played, 44. Games started, 27. Averaged about 16.4 points that season. So they ain't making it to 50 games. The following year, 63 games played, 27 starts, 15.1 points. This year, 44 games played, 5 starts, 14.1 points averaging. Each year since he's been with the Hawks, his point total has gone down. And they gave that man a contract extension. The Hawks, right now, they lost to the Spurs, one of the worst teams in the league. The Hawks, right now, are 8th place in the playoff standings. So, like you said, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what the thought process is. But I mean, you can find other guys that do what he provides at much cheaper rates, who could probably stay more healthier and on the court.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I think that making this move, are they just giving money away at this point? Because that's what damn sure look like to me.
So yeah, like when you sent it to me, because we're so focused on NCAA tournament and stuff like that. It's like it just boggled my mind that it's smart for them to do it on that day, because it stay on the radar. But it's kind of boggling my mind that the Hawks would do this, and I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But to finish out real quick, the Heat, they beat the Pistons 112-100. 22-10 for Bam Adebayo, 26 points for Jimmy Butler, 10 assists for Butler as well. James Wiseman, 22-13 for the Pistons. I think that's kind of like a good landing spot for him to get some growth and play his game and stuff like that. So I'm happy for him to get some time and get some growth as a player. I think this is a good place to do it for him. The Lakers play the Magic later on. The Lakers, I'm just going to say this before we got to D-Lock. Lakers should not be shitting Anthony Davis no more for the rest of the year. I don't give a damn. You got a plan for back-to-backs. You trying to make the playoffs.
This is true.
You can't be losing to the damn Houston Rockets. If you got to at least play Anthony Davis a half or whatever, play him a half. But he should not be sitting no damn games when you trying to make the damn playoffs. It boggles my mind. Like, Anthony Davis not playing for the against the Houston Rockets because, back-to-backs. No. You play his ass. You play his ass and make it to the playoffs. And his ass better be on the court. I'm sorry for cussing like this, but his ass better be on the court against the Magic tonight. And it's also another thing too. I like Wayne Gabriel, but he's not like a backup center like that.
Nah.
And you can't find a big out there. DeMarcus Cousins out there walking. And then this is kind of like Thomas Bryant kind of screwed himself. And I said this, we said this in the trade deadline. We talked about the trade deadline. I'll talk about this by Thomas Bryant. Dog, it's not like AD's going to be fully healthy for the rest of the year. And look where we at now. Thomas Bryant is barely getting minutes behind DeAndre Jordan. Getting some DNPs also at Denver.
Yep.
And now you look at here, Anthony Davis, they playing against the damn Rockets, and you could have been starting that fucking game.
He in a worse situation than he was before.
Yes, a worse situation. I was like, damn, dude, you really played yourself on that. I want to trade, y'all gonna play Anthony Davis for this. Like, come on, dog. You've been in that organization for a good few months. You kind of see how things go. You see how he operates. How things go about and stuff. Dog, you had a good situation in your hands. Living in L.A., could continue showing out. Could have maybe re-signed with the Lakers or maybe banked on going somewhere else. Instead, you getting no minutes in Denver. You probably had to play on another cheap deal next year to prove yourself. You played yourself, dog. You played yourself. But yeah, the Lakers.
Now you definitely see that. This man ain't getting in the game at all. Like, damn sure ain't getting in the game. And he had and the Lakers, Mo Bamba's out. I'm not sure if you seen. He's out for 4 weeks.
Yep.
So you're not going to see him. They made that trade. We talked about it when he was in Orlando. How he has basically not done anything. He was out for 4 weeks, and now they're sitting there back there with Wayne Gabriel and damn Rui Hachimura.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, that makes a lot of sense. Now you have a missing body that you could have had since you wanted to go somewhere else because I guess you weren't getting the minutes that you wanted, knowing that Anthony Davis was going to come back. Now, look at the situation.
So yeah, Lakers can't be messing around like that. They can't be messing around like that. So, I mean, OKC winning, didn't help things. The way Golden State been playing on the road, God, that can make or break them making the playoffs. The Pelicans, they seem like they're gonna pull it out against Houston. So, like I said, you can't sit AD for the rest of the year. Utah, they Utah, but yeah, the Lakers, like I said, this right here should be a good starting point to get things rolling. Beat the Magic, then hope come tomorrow that the Kings beat the Jazz, the Grizzlies beat the Mavs, and maybe the Rockets beat the Warriors, the Knicks beat the Timberwolves, and then just go about that way. And then, Tamara Riggs brought up the point. The loss to the Mavericks by the 3 by Max Kleber. Forgot about that. So, just bad losses by them here lately. Just very bad losses. So, they come back on Wednesday against the Suns. They'll be up and ready on that stuff. Like I said, AD should be playing all the way through.
Yeah, this is the wrong time to be trying to take days off. That needs to be over.
And AD has his time off already. I'm sorry, with the injury and stuff like that. That's your time off. I'm sorry. I never get that. Like, you come back and we'll wear some back to back stuff like that. You had your time off. You had your time off. It's like Zion. When we bring him back slowly. If he ain't fully healthy, you ain't confident. I know you're trying to get back on the court, but if he ain't fully healthy, good to go, continue to sit his ass down.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, they sit this dude like they sit him like they got the number 1 team number 1 record in the West.
No, yep, that's. But before we get out here, D-Lock, going to some scores real quick. College basketball. Florida is up on Indiana 38-30 with 2:14 left in the game. Indiana's at the line shooting for free throws. I wish Indiana had their players' name on the back of their jerseys. I don't know why they do that crap. But anyways. FDU tied up at 49 with 10 minutes and 55 seconds left to go. So FAU was up by double digits at halftime. FDU has kind of fought back, so this game probably going down to the wire. Still a lot of time, but you can't let a team get back like that into the game, especially with them got all the heart and momentum right now. And then TCU Gonzaga, they tip off here in a little bit. That should be a good one. And, Drew Timmy's, last ride at Gonzaga. So we'll see how that matchup shakes out. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Got a lot of good talking, all that stuff. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. That is Black, the word dash, 813. Let them know about the show's page.
Follow the show at Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR. Sorry for not tweeting from there earlier. I had watched a little one earlier and watched a movie and we fell asleep together. So we're kind of dark in that Xavier game, but I kind of woke up now. I'm kind of up and good running now. So, but follow the show on Fastbreak IE at Fastbreak IESR. Also do follow iSportsRadio.com and on all my media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from, Apple, Spotify, here on Spreaker as well. We do a lot of great things at this network. A lot of folks are tweeting about the NCAA Tournament. NFL free agency is kicking off. This cast kicked off. A lot of movement and shaking going on that way and that side of things. So, and we do our NFL draft show here soon with one Larry B in our 3-and-out series. So do be on the lookout for that. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. Also do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. You can find that on Instagram and Facebook. I do a lot of short videos, stuff like that. Also, do follow me on TikTok at Spawn4288 as well. I do some videos on there as well. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about Sweet 16, Elite 8 next week. And see how the matchups happen through there. So till then, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.